Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Vetiva Capital Management and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, we would like to thank you all for joining us on our breakfast meeting this morning. It is Tuesday, the 21st of September, 2021. As always, this meeting is being recorded and the audio file may be shared with third parties. The meeting is also being streamed live on our Vetiva online page on Facebook and is set to last for 30 minutes. On our agenda today, we'll get a recap of yesterday's capital market activities from Symbiad from our global equities desk and from Omorige, who will cover fixed income and currencies. After that, we will move to Frontier Africa Reports with their own updates. Over the course of the meeting, if you do have a question, you may use the Q&A chat box and we will treat your questions after all speakers are done. But before we begin our meeting, a quick announcement. On Thursday, September 23, Vetiva Capital with CGF Burst and IC Securities will be having the maiden edition of the West African Capital Markets Conference. The theme for this edition is West African Capital Markets, the journey so far and opportunities ahead. The keynote speaker for the conference is Mr. Rahim Diouf, who is the Deputy CEO at the Depository Central and Settlement Bank. The conference will be facilitated by media partners from Frontier Africa Reports and is scheduled for 11 a.m. Nigerian time. You may find the registration link to the conference in the chat box, or if you would like, you may reach out to sales@vetiva.com or research@vetiva.com, and we will send you a registration link. We will now start off with Symbiad from the Global Equities Desk. Good morning, Symbiad.
Good morning, Dozier. So like you mentioned, I'll be doing a rundown of yesterday's equities performance in Ghana and Nigerian markets. Starting in Ghana, the equities market started the week on a positive note, closing up 31 basis points due to price appreciation in two stocks. So yesterday's session ended with Societe Generale and Fan Milk gaining significant points as both counters recorded new year high prices. The price appreciation in Societe Generale could be attributed to investors scrambling to take position ahead of the final dividend qualification date, which is 28th of this month. While for Fan Milk, we've seen recent traction in the consumer goods space, with the counter posting a 19.3% week-to-date return. Speaking to activity level, so for yesterday, Cowbank recorded the highest volume of traded shares, about 2.549 million units. So this helped to boost market activity as we saw volume improve by over 100%, while turnover jumped by 67%. Going into the next trading session, which will be on Wednesday, as the market will be observing the public holiday today. We expect market to trade in line with Monday's session and investors continue to bargain hunt across sectors. Over in Nigeria, we saw the equities market return to negative territory, closing down 10 basis points as investors took profit in the consumer goods space. PZ shedding 5.98%, Oniflower closed down by 250 basis points and Unilever by 222 basis points. Also in the banking space, we had GTCO, Fidelity, Zenith, all shared points. So it was only the oil and gas index that closed the session in the green on the back of a 43 basis points gain in Oando, while the industrial goods index finished flat. Speaking to the positive, we saw market activity recover from prior lower level, with volume trading up by 17%, while turnover increased by 20% to 2.3 billion naira. Going into today, so we've seen all outstanding tier one half-year results and the short-term enthusiasm that usually follows as dwindle in that space. We market now trading bearish. We expect this sentiment to continue followed by days of market recovery amid investors' bargain hunt activities. And that's the rundown from the equities dex. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Simiat. We will now move to Sheikh, who will go over the BRVM. Good morning, Sheikh.
Hello, good morning. The BRVM recorded in this past week very good performance, displaying the third weekly success in a row, which brought the stock into the range of 180 points, its second attempt in the year. This level of 180 points had not been reached since October 2018. And this is mainly shown by performance of the BRVM composite, which closed with a performance of plus 0.94%. This previous week saw an overwhelming dominance of bio, which allowed the index to record consecutive success over the last few weeks. And in the balance of variation, there was twice as many rising securities and falling securities, traded around 2.6 billion CFA. In terms of the best performance individual stocks, Bernabe share showed a great performance with a plus 18.84%. On the back of the issue of their first semi-annual activity report of the company, displaying a net profit in the first half, jumping by 139%. This was their best weekly performance over the past 5 years. And on the second step, Palm Ivory Coast stock jumped by 11.24%. This was mainly explained by the rating assigned by Bloomfield, which seems to reassure investors about the prospect of the company, and on the other hand, by certain indicators such as the 20-day moving average, which was way below the curve of evolution of the price of the title. In terms of the weakest performers, we had Safka with minus 6.47%, which recorded the most severe discounts at the end of the week, in a downtrend since the start of the month, in line with technical indicators such as the RSI, which was in an overheated zone. Similarly, Bolloré displayed a minus 3.81%. This was the second consecutive weekly underperformance achieved by the title, after having recorded a crazy progression 3 weeks earlier. The decline is mainly justified by the capital gain received by the investor since the end of August. In terms of updates, sorry, just 1 second. In terms of updates, Ecobank Ivory Coast issued its activity report for the first half of 2021, and the consolidated net profit of 18% was recorded, totaling 14.7 billion, thanks to the progression of the net banking product, and the decrease of the expenses. With regards to the bond market, it closed the week with a market cap of 7.091 trillion, showing a rebound of 0.21% compared to the previous weeks. The weekly traded values stood at 7.43 billion, mainly driven by the bond issue of Ivory Coast, totaling 4.12 billion on September 17th. In terms of the money market, issuers such as Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, and Togo issued requested total amount of 145 billion, but the market came back and offered a 433 billion, showing the of over liquidity of the market with a coverage rate of 298%. But however, only 159% billion CFA was retained. The issue of Ivory Coast Treasury bond of September 14 was the most popular transaction with a coverage rate of 294%. That's it for the BRVM. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh. We will now move to Omorige for fixed income and currencies. Good morning, Omorige.
Good morning, everybody. System liquidity declined significantly to open at about 35.7 billion positive yesterday, coming from the 316.2 billion positive that was recorded on Friday. As a result, as expected, money market rate declined by an average of 255 basis points on the back of reduced funding need in the market yesterday, as OBB and overnight rates closed at 14.5 and 15.25% respectively. For today, we expect interbank rate to trade at similar levels in the absence of any significant funding need in the market. The parallel market traded at 516 naira to $1 yesterday, while the annual window opened at 412.81 naira to $1. The highest trade that was recorded yesterday was 415 naira to $1, while the closing rate was 413.68 naira to $1. Brent and WTI gained 0.7% and 0.9% to open today at 74.44 and $17.90 per barrel respectively, as investors reacted to signs of reducing global oil supply. The T-bills market opened this week to a tepid trading session with interest seen on the long-dated maturities, especially on the 8th September 2022 and the newly issued one-year paper, that's the 15th September 2022 maturity, while trades were majorly consummated on the 25th August 2022 and the 8th September 2022 papers. Overall, average benchmark rate remained unchanged to close yesterday at 5.36%. The OMO segment also opened this week on a quiet note, with interest majorly seen on the short to mid-dated maturities, especially on the 14th December 2021, 18th January 2022, and the 15th February 2022 maturities, while trades were majorly consummated on the 7th December 2021 and the 22nd February 2022 maturities. Overall average benchmark rate remained unchanged to close at 6.17%. The bonds market opened this week on a calm note with mild bullish sentiment seen across the benchmark curve as players decided to trade cautiously ahead of the monthly bond auction scheduled for tomorrow. We observe interest on the short and long dated maturities, especially on the 2024. Offers on the 2024 maturities were around 9.8% levels in the market yesterday. We also observe interest on the 2026 and the 2050 maturities. Initially, 2050 maturities traded around 12.88%, but as the trading session progressed, we saw far inched up to settle around 12.9% levels. Trades were majorly consummated on the 2035, 2049, and the 2050. Overall average benchmark rate declined by about 6 basis points to close yesterday at 12.11% levels. The Eurobond market opened this week on a very active note, with sell-off seen across the sovereigns and the corporate Eurobond as investors continue to take positions ahead of the new Nigeria Eurobond issuance. The books opened today. The price guidance for the 7-year, as the 2028 maturity, is between 5.865% to 6.025%. For the 12-year, as the 2033, is between 7.15% to 7.32%. For the 30-year, which is the 2051, is between 8.13% to 8.49%. Is it that 30 or 40-year? While for the 40-year is between, which is the 2061, is between 8.38% to 8.74%. For our expectation today, we believe that the bonds market will continue to trade on a relatively quiet note as market participants remain on the sidelines in anticipation of the monthly bond auction slated for tomorrow, while for the T-bills market, we expect it to trade largely in line with system liquidity. That will be all for fixed income. Thank you.
Thank you, Omorige. We will now move to Justina from Frontier Africa reports with their updates. Good morning, Justina.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We start here from the East African region, where big story from Kenya is that a high court ruled that the plan by the Kenya Revenue Authority to impose a minimum tax on companies' annual sales is unconstitutional. Yesterday, the High Court told the Kenya Revenue Authority that it is barring it from imposing any minimum tax on companies who are just coming up and all of that. So we would keep an eye on how that story goes. A Bank of Uganda report shows that the gold export receipts dropped 51% to 1 trillion Uganda shillings, with no exports recorded in July. Gold exporters are currently waiting to finalize negotiations with the Ministry of Finance on taxation issues. Tanzania registered $2.98 billion in investments in the 5 months to August. In the Southern African region, the cabinet has, in South Africa, the cabinet has approved the adoption of tougher greenhouse gas emission targets as the country prepares for the United Nations Climate Change Conference. While Goldman Sachs Group has hired Simon Denny, that's the head of Barclays Banking Africa, to run investment banking at its South African unit. MTC Namibia is planning to raise between 3 billion and 3.5 billion Namibian shillings during a planned IPO and has released a prospectus for its proposed listing on the stock exchange at the beginning of November. Now, in the North African region, Libya's prime minister has revoked the oil minister's decision to dismiss the chairman of the state-owned National Oil Corporation. This is in the heat of a power struggle between overrunning the country's energy resources and recent protests at 3 oil terminals. In Morocco, the central bank on Monday began buying extra foreign currency from banks in order to ensure proper positioning of the market. And it also says this is in order to absorb current surpluses. The auction started yesterday for these foreign currencies. In Sudan, Sudan says it has accepted a mediation offer from Turkey to solve border disputes with Ethiopia. Now, in the West African region, Cameroon Treasury is looking to raise 25 billion CFA franc on the BEAC market on September 22nd, while Congo Central Bank governor says the foreign exchange reserves hit a historic record of $3.3 billion. In Nigeria, the Securities and Exchange Commission says it has commenced the implementation of the 100% custody requirements for collective investment schemes or managed funds. That's according to the SEC Director General Lamido Yuguda. And that's all from us here in Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Justina. We have now come to the question and answer portion of the meeting. If you would like to speak, you may raise your hand and we will give you an opportunity to speak, or you may use the Q&A chat box and we will treat your question. Again, while we wait for questions, you may find the link to register for our 2021 West African Capital Market Conference, which is scheduled to hold this Thursday at 11 a.m. You may find the link to register in the chat box. Thank you. I see we have no questions today. On behalf of Vetiva Capital Management and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, we would like to thank you all for joining us this morning. We continue to encourage everyone to keep safe, and we'll look forward to having you join us again tomorrow at 8:30. Good morning.